Hello, my name is Heather Wright. This is for our DC5 project. Today I'm going to talk about a couple of things as far as marketing ourselves for our project. The first topic that we are going to talk about is my greatest accomplishment, or something that's taught me to be a better manager. And I think that that would probably be when I decided to actually take on a management role. I was the top sales performer here at the credit union for 5 years, and I decided to take on a manager role knowing that the pay and salary was going to be quite decreased from what I was used to being top sales performer. So for me, I had to make that determination because I knew that I was kind of burnt out from the sales position, and I was ready to challenge myself into something different from just a typical sales position. So I decided to take a management job at Florida Credit Union by advice of the senior vice president of the credit union. So it has actually worked out very well for me. I was nervous about not making the same kind of money that I was making in the sales position, but what I've learned over the years is to teach my staff the skills that I had as a strong salesperson in order to then increase the salaries that they have, essentially increasing the salary that I now have. So it did take a little while for me to get to that spot where they were making the same money that I was, but we're there now. So overall, I think that's what's taught me to be a better manager, is that sometimes it's okay to change positions even though you're a little bit scared of what's to come, and that you may or may not be making the same kind of money, because at the end of the day, that's not really what it's about. So that's the one topic that I would say for me that's taught me to be a better manager. And as far as the worst boss or supervisor that I've ever had, I've never had a really horrible boss. I think I've learned a lot from the bosses that I've had, that have taught me some of the things that they do that maybe I see in my everyday life that I know because I saw what they did. Now I don't do them in my management skills. And then some adverse of that as well is that if I had a boss who did something really terrible, and an example would be delegation. I had a boss in a bank in Chicago that I worked for, and she was a very strong delegator. And what that has taught me over the years is that maybe my delegation skills aren't as important because she delegated everything all of the time. And so I tend to shy away from delegation a little bit because I was always delegated her tasks, and I never want to put that type of pressure on my staff. And so over the years, I think I've had a lot of lessons from different managers, but I've never had a terrible boss, I would have to say. So I'm thankful about that, but I have picked up on a lot of skills as a manager that I know I would not want my staff to perceive me as, given the experiences that I've had with other managers. And I've had several managers over the years, so I'm pretty thankful not to have come across one that I really dislike very much. But I've gotten to learn a lot of different things about myself through the managers that I've had over the years. So I wouldn't say I've ever had a really terrible boss. And as far as manager skills, which ones are more important as far as task versus relationship? The task side of thing is your planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. And that's important, obviously, in a management position, because you do have to plan something like a meeting, and then you have to organize it if you're going to delegate tasks, which I'm awful at this point in the game, but I'm working on. So if you had a project that you were working on, we use Smartsheets a lot of times for our projects, which is a great software program to use. It also delegates your tasks and then keeps your team organized. So that's one way that helps us do that. As far as directing is just making sure you're implementing what's going on, and then obviously controlling is measuring what's going on and making sure that the task at hand is actually happening. As far as relationship skills, that's how you get along with your staff, and I believe after my years of doing this that relationship skills are much more important in a management position. The trust that you have with your peers and your subordinates, and also your staff, is vitally important. You cannot run an organization if your staff does not trust you. And I've also learned that that takes time. As a manager, you're not always going to walk into the position and they're just immediately going to trust you. It takes years and years of learning how to do that well. Still also in the process of that, but I am thankful to have been with my staff now for about 3 years, but the organization a little over 7. So I think that over those years I've built those relationships with the staff that I've had. I'm thankful now that every teller at the branch that I'm working for is ones that I've hired. So we together work very, very well, and I believe that the staff does trust me. And by far, I think relationship skills are much more important than the task ability skills that a manager can have, although both would be important as a manager to run an organization. Thank you so much. Have a